this is Rusty Yonkers with Sparta Carepage News, yet again with another update. We're going to have an interesting little video clip in just a little bit that we took when we were doing Shoshana's ARAC chemo that we do here at the house, giving it through her port, through a catheter that's access to the port and left in there for several days. And I'll talk about that more in a minute. But before that, real quick, I've got my Gilda's Club shirt on. And the reason for that is we went down tonight down to the City Hall down in Grand Rapids because Gilda's Club is wanting to do an expansion. And there's a vote on that coming up soon because a few of the neighbors are saying they don't want things to expand. And so the City Council wanted to hear the pros and cons both ways, and we were listening to all that. And hopefully next week we'll do a Sparta Carepage News update from Gilda's Club, so you can kind of see what it's like a little bit more. It's really cool. It sits on like 5 or 6 acres. And so they need some more parking and some stuff like that. Some of the neighbors are like, oh, our property taxes, our property values are going to go down. Well, I tell you, the first couple times I went to Gilda's Club, I missed it because it's landscaped so well, it just blends right in. So most of them, they had a lot of neighbors there that we think they're great neighbors and we just love it. And that's really cool. There's a human side to this too. Some people are like, oh, it's really good to have something like Gilda's Club, but not in my neighborhood. Well, the thing is, they don't think about what it does for people like us who have a family member with cancer. You know, they take care of more than just kids and stuff. It's anybody with cancer or a family member or friends can go there, and it's really cool. But it's more than just cool. It's just such a need for our hearts to be able to share with people that are going through the same experience we are, that can understand things, kind of like what we're going to show you in a little bit with the chemo, with Shoshana. And when we have issues with things that are going on, then they can say, hey, I've been there too, and I know how it goes, or I can relate to you. Sometimes with kids with leukemia, it may be they're having trouble in school with the school system, and one of the parents will say, well, I went through that and we just had to get a 504 done. And you're like, well, what's a 504? And they can explain it to you. And there's so many great things about that. Our kids can go and talk with other kids whose siblings have cancer, and they're like, oh, how do we deal with this? Or, you know, they get all the prizes or whatever. Or maybe it's a kid with cancer and he can go, or she, totally bald because of chemo and not be picked on because everybody else there just knows exactly what's going on. Now, back to the big thing that we're going to show tonight, and that's going to be the chemo with Shoshana. We have to give her this drug called ARAC, or ARAC, and we do it for 4 nights in a row, then we have a 3-night break, and we have 4 nights in a row. Then we had a longer break. We did that about a month and a half ago, and this last week was the second set of that. So we had 4 nights that we just ended last night with giving it to her. We were waiting our 3 nights, and then we're going to be doing it again. She has her port accessed. Of course, that's that little thing that's underneath the skin that makes it easier to get to a line, and the line goes straight into her heart. And then they put a special called a Huber needle, which is like a little right-angle needle. It goes right in there, and it has a little catheter that hangs from that. And then we give the chemo through that, and we have to do a saline, and we have to do the chemo, and we do another saline flush, and we have to do this thing called heparin, which makes sure that the blood doesn't clot in the port and mess everything up so that it can't be used and has to be taken out and replaced, which is a surgical procedure and a big pain. So that's what we're going to have right now. Okay, here we are. We're getting ready to give her her ARAC, and we got it all prepped here. Mom's going to put her gloves on here a second. She just washed her hands just before she came in here. And we've got all the stuff laid out. We got 2 salines and the chemo and a heparin. The heparin's the yellow one. That's the one we were missing before. In the middle one there, that's the chemo. We got alcohol wipes, and Karen's already drawn the saline into the saline syringes. And we go through and we put into the catheter here. We unclamp it.
Shannon, want to do it?
There we go. And then she has to go through and she pushes a little bit in, and then she has to do what's called a draw just to make sure she gets a little blood return to make sure she's got a good line. And then she puts the saline in, That's the first one to go in, and it just gets and rid of any heparin that was in there before, whatever. Make sure that the line's all clean.
Clamp? Clamp? Oh, you want to clean, don't you?
And then she gets the RC. And then she puts that one in.
Unclamp?
And then she has to unclamp.
Unclamp? Right here.
Unclamp, hun.
Okay. Pull that.
There we go.
That's it.
Almost. Yep, there we go.
You got it.
And she pushes that in again.
Can you see? Can you put your head back a little bit?
Put your head back.
Just.
Oh, you just. There you go.
I can't see you, girl.
She pushes it in a little bit. Make sure she's got a good return. There we go. And it's probably kind of hard to see in the camera, but you actually see a little blood in the catheter, and that's how you know you get a good return. And she pushes that in, and she just kind of works her way through that. And Shoshana's getting the next alcohol wipe ready, because between each one we clean the end of the catheter. And she pulls that out. And then we have another saline, and the next saline, what that does is pushes in to make sure that all the chemo is out of the catheter and down into her. So there we go. She's cleaning it again. And Karen's got the next saline.
Unclamp.
And Shoshana's got to unclamp. Okay, and she pushes it in. We get closer here. There we go. There you can see it where it turned red for just a second. That was the return. There she is pushing it in. And there's
Is it cold, Shoshana? Usually she says the saline's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that cold?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, Shoshana.
Okay, one more, Shoshana.
Okay, now we have the heparin, so she's got to clean her catheter end again. And the heparin's like a blood thinner to make sure that the blood doesn't clot up in the port. We don't want that, because then she'd have to get a new port or something. That would be just awful. There we go. And she puts the heparin in. Now she unclamps. And then we do a little bit of heparin. Make sure we get a good return. There we go. And in goes the heparin.
This is Shoshana doing the port.
Yeah, this is chemo through the port. And we have to do this for 4 days, and then she waits for 3 days, and then we have to do it for 4 days again. There we go, and we clamp, and then it's done. I hope you enjoyed tonight's Sparta Carepage news. The next one we'll be recording for sure will be next week at Gilda's Club. And we hope that you're enjoying these Sparta Carepage news updates. Make sure you put a post. Tell us what you like about them, what you don't like, things you'd like to see. You know, oh, we want to see more of Shoshana. We don't want to see Dad talking or whatever. And we'll do that too. And we are hoping to get a lot more of her on as we go along. And of course, that'll start next week with Noogie Land at Gilda's Club. So until next week, Sparta Carepage News, this is Rusty signing off.